photography fans, welcome back to my channel. I thought I'd do another video since the first one went out on the Canon P. This time I have chosen another of my favorite classic cameras that I acquired about a year ago. This is the case, the nice vintage brown case that it comes in, and I'm going to open up this camera to show you what it's like, and then I'll tell you which camera this is. So I'm going to undo this really nice old leather case. Have you guessed what the camera is? It's a folding 35mm camera, and it's actually from the mid to late 1950s. It's a rangefinder camera, and it opens up like this, and it's actually a Kodak, believe it or not. It's a KODAK Retina IIIc. Now some of you may be thinking, you know, the ones who like to try old film cameras, may be thinking, well, Kodak, you know, I didn't realize Kodak made serious cameras. I thought, you know, you have to look at the classic German camera manufacturers like Leica, Voigtlander, Contaflex, you know, Contax, etc., or the Japanese makers Canon, Nikon, Pentax. Well, I was reading on the internet that, you know, obviously Kodak being the largest film manufacturer in the world, and were making consumer grade cameras from the beginning with the box brownie, etc. So they decided that what they needed to go is enter the serious market. Obviously the ultimate game is always to push their film and processing, but they needed good quality serious, you know, sort of amateur pro type cameras, and they bought a company in Germany, and I forget the name for now, but you can always do the research. But this German company makes great optical instruments and cameras, and they decided to build a line of really good quality cameras using the Kodak Retina brand. And the sort of the latest incarnation of that before they stopped making them was the Retina 3 series, and this is the Retina 3C, and it's basically a rangefinder camera, and it's got an interesting winder at the bottom. So instead of widening from the top, you literally just you have to advance the film. You have to move the counter to reset it, but you advance the film and you take a picture. You can hear that nice clicking sound of the shutter there, and you can adjust the shutter speeds from the top dial. So if I wanted a faster dial, faster speed, 500th of a second, or if I wanted to go down to, let's say, 1 second, and you can adjust the aperture settings here. It goes down to I believe f2. It's a really nicely built camera. It does have a light meter in there, so if you can see the light meter, sorry, the selenium cell here, but that's sort of it basically moves a needle in here. But actually this particular selenium cells died a long time ago, and I tend to not to trust them anyway. After 60 odd years, I would use an external handheld light meter, or just guess using the what they call the Sunny 16 rule. Interesting fact about this camera, so even though it's a rangefinder camera, it does actually have interchangeable lenses, and in fact they developed, I believe, a wide angle and a telephoto lens for this, or a couple of wide angle lenses and a telephoto. I bought mine from eBay, and actually when I bought it, it wasn't working. The shutter had jammed, but it did come with one of the lenses. So let me just put this camera down for a second and I'll show you what this lens looks like. So this is the I believe it's the telephoto lens that it came with, and it's the way it works is that the lens will attach to the front of the camera on top of the existing sort of lens housing, and effectively it sort of extends the lens focal length. I haven't used the external lens yet, because one thing that was evident when I was reading about these external lenses is that, first of all, the rangefinder is only calibrated to show you the 50mm range, and if you wanted an 80mm lens fitted, you need to get an external rangefinder on top. That's number one, inconvenience. Number two is when you are focusing, so you focus with this dial here, when you're focusing, whatever you're focusing, and with the rangefinder patch, you've got to transpose onto the new lens's focusing ring. So you've got to sort of focus as if you're focusing for 50mm, and you have a scale that then tells you how to get the focusing right for 80mm, which seems a bit of a hassle considering you want to take pictures relatively quickly. But I will get around to using this at some point. Obviously, as with all of these types of rangefinders, predominantly these rangefinder cameras had the shutter built into the lens itself. So the shutter isn't a curtain type shutter, it's more of a leaf shutter on the lens. And you open the back, so difficult to do this sometimes with one hand, two hands. You need to sort of, there you go. It just show you the back of the camera. So here you go. That's what it looks like. And you load the film in the usual way. It's pretty straightforward. And you take your pictures. Basically, that's a very slow shutter speed. You can get up to, as I said, 500th of a second. Now, the reason I picked this camera is because, as I said before, I was really pleasantly surprised by the quality of this camera and the lens quality especially. I shot a couple of rolls of film, and I will get around to sharing example photos in subsequent videos, but these are just short-term reviews. The image quality, the rendering of the colors, you get that beautiful vintage rendering and the vintage color look. I was using Kodak film at the time, and honestly I've tried about 30 cameras now, and this is one of my favorites. I don't know what it is about the actual quality of the images that this produces, but it's just wonderful, dreamy, vintage looking colors. Of course black and white would probably be equally interesting to try. And again, I think part of the beauty of using old cameras is the fact that you slow right down. So when you're taking a picture, there's so many things you've got to figure out before you snap away. Also, you've got 36 exposures maximum if you load a 36 film, which means that it's relatively expensive if you just shoot away and finish the roll quickly. So you really need to take your time to compose the pictures, get the settings right, and choose the right pictures to capture. So that's part of the reason why I got fed up with digital, because I've got over 60,000 images saved up. How often do I go back and look at them? Not that often. With film, I print the pictures, I put them in albums, I look at them, I enjoy them multiple times subsequent to taking the pictures, as well as the fact that the rendering, the images, the way they come out, that vintage look, again, as I said, very dreamy, very beautiful. So here's the Kodak Retina IIIc, and if you want to close it up, you literally have to make sure you're focused to infinity, and then you just close that flap, and it's nice and protected. And this camera actually will fit quite relatively easily in a large pocket or in a small bag, and it's pretty sturdy. It's a pretty sturdy camera, and it does raise eyebrows when you're out and about in the streets taking pictures, because it looks really interesting the way it looks, especially when you fold it out. So there we have it. I hope you enjoy this video. I hope, leave comments below please if you do. If you have any questions, I'll try to do more videos since people like to see what these old cameras look like and how they work. Thank you.